What's up, everybody? It's Chuck. Hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. We are about to get rolling with a fair amount of market movement on a Monday after we saw a little bit of overnight trading. We're going to take a look and see what's available for today. All right, let's go ahead and dive in, starting with the S&P 500. So the ES this morning, we are down 27 points, but have actually seen a little rally in the overnight. We came down to a demand area, and that demand area that we had talked about last week is this little drop-based rally area. We came down and hit that demand area and have rallied up since that zone. And this is actually something that we've seen, is that sometimes the markets will give a reversal right around the London Open, and we can see that this started right at the London Open. Now, we do have a little bit of a supply area here at the gap fill area. I'm going to remove this level since we've hit it and moved off of it. If I switch this to a 4-hour chart, I will say that we have a lower swing low right here, right? We've certainly got a lower swing low. I don't technically have a clear lower swing high. So while I have a gap fill supply area above me, you know, the question is that gap fill supply area going to be able to get me a 2-to-1 reward to risk? And in this case, I would say that your stop would be probably right up about this region here. And so can I get a 2-to-1 reward to risk? So that distance would be your risk. And then I can just throw this in here like this. That would be where my target would be, right? So if I do if I get in at this level here, this 43.20, the question would be, as long as I don't get any basing before 42.99, then that's going to be worth it to take for an intraday trading opportunity. Now, we are rallying up fairly fast this morning, and so, you know, a good arrival into that zone may be a decent opportunity for a quick short. If we have any basing between now and then I'm not going to be willing to take that, and I would want to hold off just a little bit. Looking at the NASDAQ is actually coming a bit closer to this supply area, and it's actually an hourly level. So a bit cleaner, slightly better opportunity for a reversal off of here and for price to continue to head lower in this region. From a 4-hour perspective, the NASDAQ, once again, does have a lower low than these areas in here, so we might be a little bit premature, because remember, our 4-hour was in a small uptrend, as we did have a little bit of an uptrend last week where we had a couple of days of higher swing highs and higher swing lows, but we were getting higher swing lows without really strong higher swing highs. We've now put in a lower low, and so I think that we are probably going to roll over and head a bit more south. The Russell, we actually looked last night at this little 15-minute area for a potential reversal in the Russell, and price actually poked right through there about 11:15. We came really close and didn't get in, which told you, hey, this is probably not going to work out, so you have to use a confirmation. And then it poked through there and then went back down. And then eventually it actually wound up running down, but it didn't give us a great entry. So the Russell, you know, you could theoretically still use the origin of this little rally up as a potential long on the 15-minute time period if we come back down to that in the right way. But we are moving up very quickly to the gap fill area. And let me tighten this area up here just a bit in the rut. So you do have that as an opportunity in the Russell 2000. And then the Dow, once again, also had a pretty decent little 15-minute supply last night that hit. Got a little move away, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later had gone nowhere, telling you, hey, you should probably not be in this thing any longer. So that's how you trade Globex, right? Take a flyer on a small 15-minute level. If it 6 candles you out, then get out of the way. I will say though that the gap fill area in the Dow is not as close as it is in the Russell, and you have a little wick over wick zone down here that might serve, you know, I call this a noisy cricket, wick over wick level on a 15-minute chart that might serve as an area of opportunity. All right, shifting gears, let's go take a look at our energies and metals, primarily crude oil. Now, crude oil gapped up last night, got as high as $130 per barrel. We do still have the potential to fill this gap, right? This gap could certainly fill in the overnight hours. We are just now getting outside of the range of our opening candle, right? Our opening candle's range was about a $9 or a 9-point range, which is obviously very high. If we look at this from a weekly candlestick perspective, the size of last week's weekly candlestick was insane relative to really any other candlestick I've really ever seen trading oil. That was a gigantic week in the crude oil markets where we've rallied up. Now, how can I get short on this thing? Well, the answer is right now you don't. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind, and don't short these highs on large time frames. It's not quite the all-time high, but we're getting there. Your next area of supply is really 140 to 146.92, and that would be the all-time high. Now, look at this on a daily candlestick. That's actually a really bearish candlestick. On the hourly, if you're so inclined and you want to try to play the gap fill, understand that it is counter trend, but I don't hate it actually on a small time frame to play this counter trend backfill. Right? You're filling the gap that was created in the overnight. It's counter trend, but a rally back up into here, you could get a decent short to allow price to come down. Now, it's a day trade, right? You're not holding this for very long, but this would be the only way that you can look to take a short on this position, remembering that it is counter trend, so confirmation entry. Gold also rallied up pretty hard last night. We did get, on a 15-minute chart, a move into a decent little area of demand, but we moved into that demand area, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 candles later, it said, I don't really feel like going anywhere. I'm tired, and it did. So we saw it pop down right through the area. But certainly, if you took this trade 6 candles later, you should be out of that position knowing our 6-candle rule. If you don't remember the 6-candle rule, go to tradersarmy.com. We've got a lot of videos on trade management there to kind of help you guide you through there. When I look at this from a 4-hour perspective, clearly we're up over $2,000 an ounce in gold. When I go back, let's take this to a much, much, much bigger time period. All right, we go to a much bigger time period. We are almost to the all-time high in gold. We're not quite there. 2089 was that all-time high. So we're not quite to the all-time high. But when I look at the weekly chart, I've also got no clean supply above me, right? That all-time high is my only area of supply. I could do that on a daily. Now, certainly this is not the same contract, but looking at this on a daily chart, you do have a little supply area there at 2037 by 2063 on this little kind of area here where we base dropped that's not yet been retouched. And so there is a little bit of a supply area up there on the daily time period, but other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of supply above me. So we're not looking at great shorting opportunities unless it's a very small time frame and you're trading, just like we talked about in crude oil, to get the gap filled, right? Well, as I look above me, I don't know that there's any of them in here that I would take a true strong flyer on at this point. So for now, I would say let it be. Now, I think if price comes down to the gap fill area, I think you've got a decent trap just below the gap fill area at 1968 by 1963. So not a whole lot has changed since our live trade room last night. We were looking at different areas and different opportunities in some of these markets. I will say in the currency markets, I was a little surprised to see the strength we've just gotten in the euro. We had a little supply zone here. Price came back into this wick over wick supply area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later, had gone nowhere, telling you should probably get out of the position. And I'll attribute a lot of that to, and somebody pointed this out to me last night, that we are in a daily demand area. this area back here of daily demand. Do I think it's going to hold very well? Not necessarily. But even if that daily demand only bounces us up for a day, or even for a few hours, up to those areas of supply above us, then that could be a pretty good trading opportunity. All right, and so looking above us, you've got a short here at 1.1, and then you've got a short just above there at 1.119. So a couple of decent little areas above us in the euro. Taking a look at our crypto futures, looking at crypto. An announcement came out just the other day that they do intend on doing options on crypto futures. So options on crypto futures are coming on the micros. So on the micros, options are coming. I don't anticipate a lot of liquidity on those options, but they are coming nonetheless. Now, we gapped down last night into an area which was a pretty decent area of demand, and then cut through it. Didn't get below this little pivot here, but still hasn't really moved off of that area. And so, remembering our 4-hour trend, is still down. So it was a confirmation entry at best. So now above us, I mean, this right here is beautiful. It's beautiful. I like levels like this. 4620 by 41037, I think is a decent area. Now you certainly have a gap fill level, but remember that gap is in the futures market only, right? The Bitcoin itself wouldn't have that gap. So I like this area right here for a potential reversal. And then Ether came close to this demand zone without getting in. And so since we came close to it without getting in, normally I would make that a confirmation entry. At this point, I'm going to actually just remove the level. Interesting level right here that we're coming close to at the moment, in that it was this area of support back through here. So the question is, does old support become new resistance? We see a bit of a reversal point right in there for a turning point. The better quality supply is actually probably a bit higher. So you have a little bit of a level on top of a level here. And so if you want to trade this as one big level, you certainly can. You can trade this as a confirmation entry on the first level and the limit entry on the second. But that's all I have for today, everybody. I mean, I've told you guys for a while that we are anticipating the markets to be a little bit more bearish. Continuing my bearish stance is where I am right now. But there are still opportunities on smaller time frames in order to enter some of these positions. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Till tomorrow, everybody, I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.